entrance of the Minister for Justice, Equality and Defence, Alan Shatter TD, and the presiding officer, the retired judge, Mr. Brian McMahon. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, I present the Minister for Justice, Equality and Defence, Alan Shatter TD.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're all most welcome on this very special occasion, on this very special day. The granting of citizenship to a person who has come to our country from a foreign land is quite clearly a major event in his or her life. It is a time of celebration, a rite of passage, and a moment for all of you here to cherish. It is also a solemn event for this state to grant citizenship. I also welcome you to this wonderful convention centre with its iconic architecture. It is indeed a fitting place for hosting this most important occasion for you as our newest citizens, and for us as the host nation in bestowing this honour on each of you. As Minister for Justice and Equality, I am in law given the duty of deciding who should be awarded the privilege of Irish citizenship. In doing so, I have to carefully apply our laws as enacted by our Parliament and consider the individual circumstances of those who apply for citizenship. I take that duty very seriously, as I am acting on behalf of all Irish people in deciding who should be granted the privilege of citizenship of our country. We do not award citizenship lightly, and it is right that its granting is marked by a sense of occasion. It serves to underscore its importance to each of you and also to us, who, on behalf of the people of Ireland, grant it to you. You have come to our country and chosen to live amongst us. Some of you have been waiting a very long time for this day to arrive. Today, we welcome you to our nation as its newest citizens, and we hope that you will continue to contribute to our communities, to our neighbourhoods, to our society, to your society. As a people, we've been enriched by your presence, and in making you citizens of our ancient and proud land, we are acknowledging the contribution made by you already. Our ceremony today is greatly enhanced by the presence of Brian McMahon, one of our foremost lawyers, recently retired High Court judge and a respected patron of the arts. Brian will lend great dignity to the proceedings in his role as presiding officer, and his presence signifies in a very public way the importance and solemnity of this afternoon's occasion. I wanted to thank you, Brian, most sincerely for being here, for participating in our ceremony, and I'd ask you all to give Brian a round of applause. I'd also like to thank the Army No. 1 Band, conducted by Captain Declan Whitstone, for joining us for this important ceremony. You've spent some time this afternoon listening to their marvellous music. They are extraordinarily talented. We are very lucky to have them as part of our defence forces. And we greatly appreciate their giving to us their Sunday to be part of the ceremonies that are taking place in the Convention Centre. I, as my role as Minister for Defence, take great pride in our defence forces and I hope you will take great pride in the Defence Forces that from this day on, are your Defence Forces as well. I also want to thank the staff of my own department, and in particular the staff of the Citizens section, who have been instrumental in organising today's programme of ceremonies. I want to thank them for their help and their cooperation in us reforming the process to facilitate the granting of citizenship and in putting in place the ceremonies that have been taking place for some time and the ceremony that you're participating in today. I referred earlier to the length of time that many of you have waited for your citizenship applications to be processed. When the government came into office just over a year ago, on the 9th of March 2011, there was an enormous backlog of citizenship applications. The backlog was approximately 22,000. Approximately 17,000 of these had been waiting in a barely moving queue for in excess of 6 months, with an average waiting time of 2 years. Many people were waiting 3 to 4 years for their applications to be dealt with. Today, even though 18,000 valid applications were lodged in 2011, representing an increase of over 45% on the numbers who sought citizenship in 2010, the backlog of standard applications awaiting a decision for more than 6 months has now dropped to under 8,500. This, I'm sure you will agree, is a real and significant progress. And it's my objective within a short period of time to bring us to a position where applications of the standard nature received are determined within 6 months of receipt of those applications. I don't believe it's acceptable that anyone who's lawfully resident in our state, who wants to become an Irish citizen and who is properly qualified to do so, should have to wait for 3 to 4 years for their application to be determined. Having made decisions on almost 23,000 applications since I took office, including 6,500 decisions made in the first 3 months of this year, I think I can safely say that the steps that have been initiated by me within the Department of Justice and Equality to deal with the backlog of applications have been a huge success. This citizenship ceremony, along with the 3 others taking place here today, together with the 43 other ceremonies which have taken place since we first introduced such ceremonies, have been universally welcomed. They now are a major celebratory event that's the highlight of the citizenship process. These ceremonies are also pivotal in addressing the backlog. Had we not put them in place, our district court, before whom in the past those granted citizenship would have to swear an oath, would have been completely incapable of coping with the numbers. We would have created a backlog of people waiting to be sworn in as citizens, as opposed to a backlog waiting to have their applications dealt with. So these ceremonies are very important in not only celebrating the granting of citizenship, but in providing a better way, a more inclusive way, and a better family way for celebrating this day. Today's ceremony marks a significant new initiative in tackling the backlog. Previous ceremonies, we had limited capacity available to us to ensure that as many people as possible were able to complete the legal formalities without delay. Today's ceremony in this state-of-the-art venue is a major milestone in that by this evening, when we've completed the 4 ceremonies, almost 4,000 citizenship applicants will have become new Irish citizens in a single day. Your being here today at the first of these ceremonies is an event you're participating in, which is not only hugely important to you, but it's historic in the terms of its scale and significance to us as a host nation, and which will mean that by this evening, as I said earlier, the numbers of Irish citizens will in a single day have been increased by 4,000. That's never happened in the history. This ceremony on the award of citizenship marks, in a very public way, one of the very potent and powerful manifestations of our independence as a nation. The history of this state is now your history, and the narrative of your lives is now part of our history. For those of you granted citizenship today, your future is now inextricably interwoven with the future of this state, its citizens across the globe, and in particular, all of us who live on this island. Having recently had the great privilege of representing Ireland at St. Patrick's Day ceremonies in Australia and New Zealand, I've seen for myself in a most striking way the enormous respect, pride and affection which our people hold for our sense of nationhood and national identity, though like many of you, they are, of course, far from their home. Like you also, they too have adopted a new home in many other countries as their home, not only Australia and New Zealand, the Irish diaspora stretches right across the globe. And those citizens of this state who now find themselves living elsewhere have enjoyed the kindness of strangers and the welcome of strangers. We now in turn confer a similar welcome to all of you. I want to congratulate you one and all on becoming our newest Irish citizens and to say to you, we welcome you to our national family. I now want to formally introduce Judge Brian McMahon and call on Brian to administer the Declaration of Fidelity in which you publicly declare your loyalty to our nation and fidelity to our state, as well as undertaking to faithfully observe the laws of the state and to respect its democratic values. So without further ado, I want to invite Brian to the podium. Thank you very much.
Remarks. I'd like to first of all congratulate each and every one of you for attaining Irish citizenship here today. You're not citizens yet, but after I'm finished with you, you will be citizens. It is a singular honour for me to preside over this ceremony on behalf of the state. I'd like to congratulate the Minister, first of all, for giving this and bringing to this ceremony a sense of occasion and a sense of celebration. You will no doubt have been impressed by the wonderful surroundings and the wonderful building which was erected not so long ago. You will undoubtedly be impressed by the Army Band who entertained you so gallantly prior to this ceremony. You will be no doubt impressed by the flag parties from the Irish Army. And these marks of distinction are thoroughly warranted. This is an important occasion and the state would like to mark it as such. It's an important decision when you decided to apply for citizenship here. We know this. We have been in other countries and we know the soul-searching and the decision, the civic decision, the political decision that you make to apply for citizenship and commit yourself to a new country. And therefore it is right that this should be elevated to the level it has here today. Secondly, and briefly, I would like to congratulate the Minister on addressing the backlog that was associated with your applications and with the applications of your countrymen for many years down the line. Since he has assumed office, Minister Shatter has adopted this system and he has set himself a target to reduce the application from 6 months, as you know, and that is virtually achieved by now. I know I speak for you when I utter those remarks to the Minister. In a few moments, I will invite you to make your declaration of fidelity to the nation and loyalty to the state, and to give an undertaking to faithfully observe the laws of the state and to respect its democratic values. This represents your commitment to uphold and respect the rights, freedoms, and equality enjoyed by citizens of this nation, and the principles of tolerance and respect for other people's beliefs and viewpoints that many men and women have fought and died for. I was born in this country more years than I care to mention. I have lived most, if not all, of my life in this country. But after this ceremony, you will have the same legal, social, and constitutional rights that I have. You will be full-blown citizens of this state. As an Irish citizen, you will have duties not just to respect the laws and democratic values of the state, but also to be, and this is an important also, to be an active participant in your community and be a good citizen. You can participate in many ways, and any contribution you make to your society will help to enrich and diversify the communities which you find yourselves in, your communities, our communities, your country and our country, and to make it a better place to live in, not only for us all, but for our descendants as well. Those of you who come from India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, bring your wickets and your cricket bats. We could do with a little bit of upgrading of our skills in those departments, although our team is doing relatively well in recent years, and maybe their achievements will be enhanced further by your participation. Our hockey teams in the last 2 weeks both failed at the final hurdle, both in the men's and women's, having gallantly performed all week, but just failed to get across the line for the European and the World Cup. So those of you that come from countries with hockey and expertise, maybe you should join the local hockey club and enhance and bring your talents to bear in that direction. Those of you from New Zealand, South Africa, might teach us something about rugby. I used to include Australia in that, but we beat Australia in the World Cup. But I'm sure the Aussies will have plenty to bring as well. In a few weeks' time, we will be glued to our television sets watching the Olympic Games. And we will marvel at the black African runners from Africa as they stride gracefully across our screens to the podium for the gold medals and the silver medals and the bronze medals. And maybe with the arrival of those of you from Africa, the gene pool for athletics might be improved, and we might look forward to days when we can produce long-distance runners like those of you from Africa. I look forward to the day when I see your children, or your children's children, leading or hurling or football teams out into Croke Park on our Ireland final day, or carrying the tricolour at the head of our Olympic team for the Olympic Games, wherever they are held in that far away. I have selected examples from the sporting world. I could easily do it from the world of music, or the world of literature, or the world of the arts. Perhaps we could do with some Russian ballet dancers. Wherever you come from, and I don't have time to address all 167 nations that will be involved in these ceremonies over the next couple of hours and this morning, you know what you have to bring. Do not forget your own history, your own country, your own people, your own stories. That is not a price that the state asks you to pay in giving you new citizenship. We are not afraid of your cultures. We are secure in the knowledge and confident in the knowledge of our own that we will learn from you. And do not hide away your culture in this country. Gently accept yourself in your communities. And whatever skills you have, bring them to your communities where they will be greatly appreciated and surprise you at the level of reception they get. Do not forget that your children and your children's children will ask you in the future about the country you come from and the stories of your people. So all I can say to you is bring it on. I will now ask all candidates for citizenship to stand for the declaration, which we will recite one line at a time. Now this is a very big chorus I have here in front of me, so you must pay great attention to the conductor. We must get this right. You have been given a leaflet, and you will see the first word I'm going to say is I. And when I say I will pause and you speak your own name. Not the name of the person alongside you, or your neighbours, your own name. I will then speak the word of, and you will say your address. Not your neighbour's address, not the person alongside you's address, unless you're living with them in the same address. And then we will all proceed together to recite the declaration. Hereby solemnly declare my fidelity to the Irish nation, and my loyalty to the state. I undertake to faithfully observe the laws of the state and to respect its democratic values. You are now citizens. Before I invite the minister to wind up this ceremony, I forgot to say to you that a central part of our culture is stories and storytelling. And in that vein, I do not want to finish and leave this podium without telling you a small story. Some months ago, after a ceremony in this, I was standing in the city at a bus stop. And I was waiting with my wife. There was no one else around. It was a lovely afternoon like this afternoon. And suddenly, a taxi driver slowed and passed me out and pulled in about 20 feet beyond me. And nothing happened. And there was a delay of 2 or 3 minutes. The bus didn't come. And then the taxi door opened, and a gentleman came out and said, "You like the taxi?" And I thanked him, and I said, "We will be waiting for the bus." And then he said, No, you like the free taxi." And I know there's no such thing as a free luncheon. So I said, no, thank you. And he said, no, you misunderstand. You gave me my citizenship. That's the story. He was wrong. I did not give him his citizenship. the Minister for Justice gave him the citizenship. I am only the presiding officer who asked you to say words after me. The legal authority is vested in the Minister for Justice, and I'd like to give you a round of applause for that.
I would now like to invite Minister Shatter to make some closing remarks.
What Judge McMahon doesn't realise was after he took the taxi, the same taxi driver sent me the bill. I want to congratulate all of you now who are Irish citizens, who joined our inclusive Ireland. I want to wish you well. I think this is truly a historic day. It's very interesting today as well because citizenship is being granted today to people from over 100 different nationalities across 5 different continents. When I walked on to this stage, it looked like I was participating in a meeting of the United Nations. But in the short time we've been here, it's changed. I'm now participating in a meeting of one nation, and you're part of it. I want to acknowledge and thank all your friends and relations who've joined you, who are sitting up in the higher part. They're all closer to God than we are, but they're very welcome. And I want to particularly welcome and thank the wonderful children who always provide an interesting backdrop to our ceremony. Today is truly a special day. We've been very lucky. The weather has been good. We can't always guarantee good weather for ceremonies of this nature, though I wish I could, as Minister, claim responsibility for the good weather. You're becoming part of our community at a time when our country has gone through difficulties. But we're now climbing out of those difficulties. There is genuine and real hope for the future. There's genuine and real hope that we're going to get people back to work who are currently unemployed. We are doing everything we can to encourage people to use their own initiatives to either obtain employment or indeed create employment for themselves. And I know that there are many people in this room who will, in the coming years, if they haven't yet done so, make a very substantial contribution to help us get our country back on its feet. And that, I think, is hugely important. It's to your benefit, to the benefit of your families, and to the benefit of your children. That's the only really serious thing I'm going to say for the rest of this evening. I want to wish you well, enjoy the rest of the day, enjoy a celebration of your new Irish citizenship, enjoy the fact that you are now part and parcel of our national community. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Ladies and gentlemen, could you all please stand for our national anthem? Please remain standing for the exit of the Minister and the Judge.